Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Gretchen and today I am here with a different kind of video than what I have done before on my channel. So I am gonna try something new and I'd really like your feedback on whether or not this is something you would like me to do in addition to the other content that I put out. I'm not changing anything about the content I already put out. This is something I want to do in addition to. And how this came to be is I started to think about my channel goals and my book goals that I made toward the beginning of the year. And one of the things that I promised myself was I wanted to start doing monthly wrap-ups to talk about all of the books that I have read. Currently on my channel, I don't talk about every single book that I read. I talk about those books of focus, obviously for the book prizes that I follow, the long lists, etc. But also there are kind of other standout books that I really enjoyed that I wanted to do a single review on, or maybe it was a book that I thought I was gonna like but I didn't, and I felt passionate enough about my not liking the book to do a review on it. But there are a lot of other books in the midst of all of those that I read and I never talk about. And I watch a lot of other booktubers and I really do enjoy the content where there are people talking about their wrapped up week of what they have read, and we get insider knowledge of the books that they're actively reading and they're in the middle of, ones that they maybe didn't finish, maybe ones that they are off to pick up from the library, and that those are the books that they're going to be reading next. And I realized that those are some of my favorite types of videos to watch. And I think why I like that so much is because we're getting fresh information. What I didn't like or enjoy about putting my wrap-ups together was I felt like by the time we got to the end of the month, those books that I read early on were not as fresh in my head, and there were things that I likely wanted to say about them, but I maybe forgot, or I had moved on to so many other books that those ones that I enjoyed but maybe really weren't remarkable, I wasn't really remembering all of the talking points or all of the key pieces of information that would be important to give in a review. So I thought that the solution to that for me would be to adopt or steal that idea from some of the other booktubers that do kind of a weekly reading check-in to talk about the books that they're currently reading, ones they just finished, books that they are planning on reading after, so that by the end of the week or the end of the month, I've talked about all of the books that I have read already, and it makes it a lot easier for me to get all of those books to you that I have read without having to crunch them all into one video. Moving forward, I'm gonna give this plan a try. I don't know, or I haven't decided yet on what the cadence will be or whether I'll commit to this content being delivered on a certain day of the week. I know there are some readers that do like Friday updates or Saturday or Sunday updates. I need to kind of get my feet wet with this to see how I feel, and then I can maybe get a couple of these under my belt and figure out what that cadence is going to be for these videos. So I really want your feedback on this to see if this is something that you enjoy. And I really think that this is going to be a fun way for me to talk about more books on my channel and kind of let you know more about all of the book stuff that's going on in my life or that I'm excited about, and not just those selective books here and there that I do single videos for, or talk about the anticipated ones that I'm looking forward to. I want to start talking about more books on my channel, and I think that this is a perfect way to do that. So why not just, after that little introduction, I figured I would just give you an update as quick as possible on kind of what I'm actively into, what I am working on as far as project reads go, the active books that I am in the middle of, and then maybe even talk about some of the books that I plan on reading next and the ones that I have out from the library, just to let you know what books I could potentially be reading. So first of all, I just want to start with the project books that I am reading, just because these are the books that you're going to hear about frequently on these types of videos as I give you updates for how far I've made it and how things are going. And I currently have 2 project books going on. I usually have one really big chunky classic that I'm getting through, or a classic that I'm working my way through slowly, and then I always have a short story collection that I am working through. And the short story collection that I'm working through right now is the complete stories of Clarice Lispector. I have never read Clarice Lispector before, and I thought that maybe a good introduction to her work would be through her short stories. And I have to say, I'm only about 50 pages, so maybe 4 or 5 stories in, but I am really enjoying her writing. I have heard a lot of mixed things about Lispector's writing. I know that she has a big group of diehard fans, and then there are a lot of folks that just are not into her at all, but I am really loving her writing so far. She is really unusual with her writing. I'm really trying to kind of pinpoint exactly what she is delivering, and it's just a strange, delightful amalgamation of so many different things. And every time I go to a new story, I am just like blown away at how different they are and how strange they are, but how absorbing they are. And I am really enjoying it so far. And I don't know much about her other books or her novels. I don't know much about her as an author. So as I'm kind of going through these stories, I also hope to kind of learn more about her writing style, the genres that she likes to write about. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far. And it's a chunky book. There's lots of stories. I'm on page 53 right now. It's 650 pages on the nose, so there's still lots of stories to get through. So I'll keep you up to date on what stories I'm reading, what I'm enjoying, and if there are any specific stories that really stand out to me, I will call those out. So that's my short story collection. And then my big classic that I'm actively reading, and I did mention this on another video that I did a while ago, but I'm reading Les Miserables, and I am really enjoying it still. I had planned on reading a chapter a day. This book conveniently has 365 chapters in it, so I thought that I would be able to keep up with that. However, life got away from me and I am a couple weeks behind, but this book is so good that when I do find myself picking it up, I can blow through several chapters at a time because I am enjoying this story so much. Now, I knew the basic premise of this story. I am a fan of the musical. I think I've seen it performed maybe 3 or 4 times, but I also know that a short musical isn't going to capture the entire essence of a book that's 1,400 pages. So I'm really enjoying learning more about each of the characters, digging deeper into their lives and their thoughts and their feelings and their relationships. And yeah, I'm definitely glad that I picked this one up, and this is another one of those books you'll see me talk about, and I'll give you periodic updates. As of right now, I am just about to start book 8, which is the final book in the section with Fontaine, and I am just pages away because this is a pretty short section. The next part of the book, part 2, will focus on Cosette. So I am, hopefully by the next time I talk about this, I can safely say, or hopefully say, that I have closed the chapter on Fontaine, which I know is going to be tough because I know what happens to Fontaine. So I know we're about to probably have some emotional pages coming up, but hopefully by the next time I give an update, we will have gone into the section on Cosette. Now, a couple other things that I have up in the air. I am obviously still doing reading for book prizes. So we're still in the midst of the International Booker and the Women's Prize for Fiction and Nonfiction. And I actually read, or was reading, the shortlist for the US version of the Republic of Consciousness Prize this year as well. And I am still working through that short list. So yeah, I do have some book prize books going on. So from that Republic of Consciousness Prize, I am actively reading Two Sherpas by Sebastian, Martinez, Danielle, and this is translated from the Spanish by Jennifer Croft. And this is a book about 2 Sherpas, yeah, duh, that are guiding an Englishman on a trek up Mount Everest, and the Englishman takes a fall and he is kind of wedged or stuck on the edge of this precipice. So we have the 2 Sherpas. The narrative kind of goes back and forth between the 2 of them. We have an older Sherpa that is less experienced, and then we have a younger Sherpa who, even though he's younger, he has more experience, and we're kind of getting their viewpoints on not only the situation at hand with the accident, but we're getting to know more about their lives outside of being Sherpas. And it's a really interesting book, and I really enjoy it, or am really enjoying it so far. With this book, there are a lot of super short chapters. Like, the chapters are only, you know, a couple pages long. Some of them are even just a half a page. So when I do pick this book up and I sit down, it's another one of those where I'm quickly getting through several pages. I just kind of put this on the back burner, although I'm really enjoying it because of the other book prize reads that I'm in the midst of, but I definitely need to get through this soon. Right now I'm about a third of the way through it, so hopefully by the next time we talk, I can maybe have reached that halfway point with it, or maybe even a little further. Now, I also have books going for each of the book prizes. So we have the Women's Prize for Nonfiction. I am actively reading A Flat Place by Noreen Masud. Now, this book is another one that I'm really enjoying. This one, although I'm enjoying it, the struggle that I'm having is that the chapters are super long, and when I'm reading a book, I really like to close a chapter, and because the chapters are so long, I'm struggling to find those pockets of time that will allow me to sit down and read a whole chapter. So this one is getting picked up less often than some of the others. It's not that the book is not good. I'm actually very much enjoying this. It's a beautiful book, and it's talking about a lot of very important things. This book focuses on the author's love of flat landscapes and how she finds solace and comfort in them. And it's a way for her to cope and deal with her diagnosis of complex PTSD. And it's a really interesting read, and we're learning a lot about the author and her childhood and the events that triggered or led to her trauma. And we're really learning a lot about how she is able to manage that on a day-to-day basis, and how nature and these landscapes are helping her to do so. So I'm liking it because we're not only learning about the psychology of her trauma and we're learning about that disorder, but it also has a lot of beautiful nature writing, and I'm really enjoying this one. And this one, by the way, is shortlisted. This is one of the last, I think actually, this is the last shortlisted book that I need to read for the Women's Prize for Nonfiction. So once I'm done with this, I'll be done with the shortlist for that. I still have some other Women's Prize for Nonfiction long list books that I will get through at some point in time this year. But as far as the shortlist goes, that should be the last one for me. Now, as far as the Women's Prize for Fiction, the book that I am reading right now, and I'm almost halfway through, is A Trace of Sun by Pam Williams. Now, this one was longlisted. It was not shortlisted, but I was having a little bit of trouble getting a hold of some of the shortlisted titles. So once those come in, I'll likely set this aside to focus on those shortlisted titles to make sure that I get those done before the prize winner is announced. But as far as this book goes, I'm enjoying this story as well. I was off to a little bit of a rocky start with the Women's Prize for Fiction, but I think at the beginning I was just maybe picking the wrong books. And as I've progressed and I've, got my hands on different books, I've really started to turn around to the books that were nominated this year. And I'm finding myself enjoying my reading a lot more than I was a few weeks ago. So this story is about a young boy he is living in Granada, and his mom and his dad and his younger brother leave him behind to move to London so that they can start a new life and build up enough money to pull Rafe from Granada and take him there so he can be raised there as well. But they're just waiting to get enough money to do so. In the meantime, they end up having a daughter while they are in London, and his movement from Granada to London is delayed, I believe, by like 7 years or something to that effect. And it's going through the struggles that he had moving after 7 years of being away from his mom and dad, and how he was struggling to fit in with a new family and the resentments that he had. And this is a really good book too. It's solid. I'm enjoying the writing. This is semi-autobiographical, I believe. So anytime I'm reading a book that I know to be semi-autobiographical and there's a lot of, sad things going on, it just makes it all the more of an emotional read. And there is a lot going on in here, but I'm enjoying this so far. And it's another one that's an easy read in the sense that the chapters are super short, and I can sit down if I can find a little pocket of time, and I can get through several chapters very quickly. I am at about, like I said, almost the halfway point. It's broken up into individual parts. I am right now getting close to finishing part 2. Hopefully by the next time we chat, I'll have moved on to part 3. And then as far as the International Booker, I am getting a little nervous about finishing the short list by the time the announcement is made. I think that the prize will be announced, it's in a few weeks. I think I still have at least a couple weeks maybe to get through the rest of the long list. I'm actively reading Mater 2-10 by Hwang Sok-yong, and I'm enjoying this book, but it is super slow paced. There's really not a whole lot of things that are going on. And although I'm enjoying the writing, I'm enjoying the stories, I'm enjoying what's happening, it's just a really slow paced book. And it also doesn't help that it's a chunky book. It has over 400, it was actually almost 500 pages, but it's a very, you probably can't see it, but it's a pretty tall book. So it's 500, almost 500 pages, but the pages are much bigger than a normal sized book goes. So it seems like it's taking me longer and longer to get through. And this is another book that I'm struggling with the size of the chapters. The chapter sizes are really long, and some of them have like little breaks in the chapters, but there are also ones, like I just read one that was like 30 some pages and there were 0 chapter breaks. So it's one of those things where I have to make sure I'm picking this up with time to read an entire chapter, because I don't want to break things up if there's not a natural break there. But I really need to hunker down with this one. I need to find time to get through this because I still have, after I finish this one, I still have to read Crooked Plow, and I still have to read What I'd Rather Not Think About, and then I will be done. Then I'll be done with the short list for the International Booker, but I definitely need to get moving on this one if we're down to just a few weeks left. But I'm enjoying the story. Like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with the book. It's just really slow paced, and it's been a little bit of a slog for me to get through just because of the pacing, not because I'm not enjoying the story. But hopefully I can pick things up on this very soon. Then, couple other things just to mention. I am actively also participating in Misery May, which is a read-along that Gemma from Gem of Books and Scott from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot do. Now, there are several prompts with that reading challenge, I should say, but I am just going old school and reading a piece of Thomas Hardy. Typically, in the past, I know they have really focused Misery May on an individual book from Thomas Hardy. I have never read anything by Hardy, and it is The Mayor of Casterbridge, and so far I'm not too far in it, but I'm enjoying the story. It is sad. I know that there's probably going to be a lot of horrible things that are about to happen. In the very first chapter, something very terrible and just cruel happens. So that definitely piqued my interest. And so far, I'm only about 30 pages in at the moment, but I'm enjoying the writing. I'm enjoying the character development so far. And I think that this is definitely a book that once I can really start getting into the story, that I'm really going to enjoy it. I love books that make me sad and books about, you know, miserable things happening to people. So this is probably going to be right up my alley. And so hopefully I have an update on this next week when I talk with you again. And then another book just to talk about. I literally just finished the Titanic Survivors book club by Timothy Schaffert. I am not gonna do a full-length review on this. I will just say that this book was a little disappointing for me. I went into this book with different expectations from what I took away from reading the synopsis and what I've heard the book publishers talking about. This is a book that was supposed to be about a book club created by a group of people that were survivors of the Titanic disaster, but they definitely took some liberties. It's very loosely based on that. It ended up turning into more of a romance, into a love triangle, and although I enjoyed the story for the most part, I thought it was interesting enough, it just wasn't what was promised, and it left me really wanting more. And I absolutely hate it when the publishers take a very small angle or a small part of the book and that's how they sell it, and you just end up being really disappointed as a reader and you feel let down. Doesn't matter how good the book is, you still feel let down by what was being delivered, and that's the case with this book. And this is the first Timothy Schaffert that I've ever read. I know he has a pretty substantial backlist of books. I'll likely pick up another book from him, but yeah, this was, yeah, I will probably settle. I literally just finished it this morning and I really haven't let it sink in too much, but chances are I'm going to end up landing on a 3 for this one. And then just to let you know about a couple of the books that I'm going to be starting to read. I finally got my hold for Knife by Salman Rushdie in from the library. So this is one that I am just super excited about getting to. This is obviously about the attack on his life. He almost lost his life just over 2 years ago, and this is the book where he's talking about the incident. And I heard that there's a lot more to this book than just about the attack. It's about him coming to terms with life, and you know, it's meditations after an attempted murder. So I know Salman Rushdie's writing is beautiful in his fiction, and I've heard that, you know, the guy just knows how to write. So this is a very readable book. It's very immersive, and I am very much looking forward to getting to this one. So I have a feeling that this is one of the ones that as soon as I pick it up, I'm just gonna fly through it. But this is gonna be an upcoming read for me. And then the only other update that I have is I am so close to getting James from the library. It's so close to coming in. I had originally got a copy from Aardvark, but for some reason it hasn't got to me yet, and the library hold is just about in, so hopefully I get my hands on one of those books soon. As you know or may not know, James is my most anticipated read of the entire year, and as soon as I get my hands on it, I don't care book prize or not, I am stopping and I am reading that book because I am so excited about it. So maybe by next week's video, I will have more to say on that one as well. But yeah, so please let me know if this is the type of video you want to see going forward. If you have any other suggestions on different bookish things you want me to include. And I will, like I said, try to get my feelers out for this, see how it's going, and maybe by the time I come back with my next video, I'll have more information on what I think that regular schedule will be. But until we read again, bye.